I've been using the 2025 Zephyrus G14 almost every single day for about a month now. And surprise, surprise, it's great. But I have learned some stuff since my initial review. So let's see how it's held up after a month. And please like and subscribe if you like these type of videos. Quick disclaimer, this is not a sponsored video. I felt the need to say this because I'm basically gonna glaze this thing for the next 10 minutes. Starting with build quality, this is easily one of its best aspects. With that new back panel, it feels more premium than last year's model, and I haven't heard any creaking sounds from its hinge either, while that was an issue for some people in 2025. It hasn't scratched or dented yet, although I am pretty gentle with my devices and always put them in a laptop case. And the new glass layer over the slash LEDs also hasn't picked up any micro scratching either. I will say that this dark color is a lot easier to clean than the white one. I gave this white 5060 model to my little brother, and it's just impossible to clean after a year of filth. The dark color does pick up fingerprints easier, but it just stays clean more easily. Overall, the G14 is a sturdy, thin and light machine. I mean, you don't even feel this thing when you put it in your backpack. So far, it's been great. With that new Intel Ultra 9 chip and a higher wattage 5070 Ti, it also got quite the performance bump compared to last year, despite having similar specs. Its GPU doesn't always reach that maximum wattage, but it gets pretty damn close most of the time, depending on the game. Now, the choice to go with an Intel processor was quite controversial when this was first announced. I mean, in 2025, Intel was really lagging behind in terms of efficiency and heat problems. But with these new Intel chips, they are so far ahead in terms of efficiency compared to everyone else. It's not really any faster than last year's AMD chip, but that is okay since that was already really good. But what matters the most is daily use. And to say that this thing handled everything I threw at it is an understatement. It easily runs every single game at a high resolution with high frame rates. I also did some pretty heavy video editing on it while traveling, and it just worked. This thing actually stutters less in Premiere Pro than my desktop PC. You're not gonna have any issues coding on this thing either, with it having fast compile times and no issues running big C# projects. But you do need to do some tweaking before you can consistently get the highest performance on it. And just like last year, we're using G-Helper for that. Look, Armoury Crate is perfectly fine for 99% of people. But the fact that you can't use some features on battery and that it just takes a bit to open is annoying to me. I mean, G-Helper is 1,000 times more lightweight and just works, with no bloat on the side. But what are the ideal settings for the Zephyrus G14? Well, unfortunately, there are no ideal settings, since everyone has their own preference for how hot or how loud a laptop can get. But these are the settings that I like to use. In the silent profile, I keep the fans turned off until the CPU reaches like 67 degrees. I cap the CPU to only 30 watts and keep the dedicated GPU turned off, of course. The G14 runs at around 50 to 60 degrees during idle or light tasks, so most of the times it's going to be completely silent. But for the turbo profile, I boosted the balls off of this thing. It's got an almost straight fan curve starting at 60 degrees with 100% fan speed at 94 degrees. Intel CPUs start throttling at around 95 to 96 degrees, so putting the fan speed at 100% before that makes sure it does not slow down. I also have both the CPU and GPU set to their maximum power limits, so they can figure out themselves whichever one gets more watts, with a 200 MHz overclock for the GPU. But in very GPU intensive games, I would actually recommend limiting its CPU to like 25 to 30 watts. This will allow the GPU to use more power, and it'll actually perform a little better. Hell, to make this easier, you could just turn the balance profile into that slightly CPU limited profile. These aggressive fan curves do mean some fan noise during gaming, but I would rather have that maximum performance with a little more noise than a slightly less noisy laptop that runs hotter. because it does stay cool to the touch while gaming with these profiles. Even though it has an aluminum body, it stays perfectly usable even after hours of gaming. It does help that the fans pull a bunch of air through the keyboard to stay cool as well. Now, going back to daily use, this thing just keeps getting better, because this thing has one of the best displays on any laptop right now. It is a way too high resolution, it has a high refresh rate, and the fact that it's OLED means that it just looks stunning. But especially that new higher brightness is something else. Even using it outside is not bad at all, since it basically has the best anti-reflective layer out of any laptop. It has a good keyboard with enough key travel, and the speakers are, again, top class. They have a lot of bass, they get super loud, and they just sound good. So it looks good, it sounds good, and it feels good. There's no complaints here whatsoever. And it keeps getting better when we get to battery life. This new Intel chip is built off of the 18A process. And with 4 low power efficiency cores, it uses very little power. In light tasks, you can consistently get over 15 hours of battery life. And that beats some newer MacBooks. This number is obviously gonna be lower if you do more heavy tasks, since the LPE cores aren't used for that. But even in heavy tasks, that number is so far ahead of anything from last year. Okay, so far I've been glazing this thing hard, but nothing is perfect, right? So what are some issues with the G14? Well, to be honest, it doesn't really have any. Its refresh rate could be higher, I guess, but I myself don't feel limited with 120 Hz at all. And sure, the temperatures do get a little high, but it never reaches its temperature limits, even in the heaviest of workloads. So that isn't an issue either. The only complaint I kind of have here is that they didn't put a haptic trackpad on it yet. I mean, other Windows laptops are starting to get it, so it's kind of long overdue. Objectively, the biggest issue that it has is its price, but we'll get into that in a little bit. If you think I'm a fanboy for this thing, that's okay, I get it. But if you need objective proof that this thing is that good, I've been comparing this model and the 2025 one to basically every laptop in its class, and none of them got even close to beating it in terms of overall greatness. The Omen 14 was pretty similar, but it had a very power-limited GPU and just worse battery life and temperatures. The Triton 14 from Acer was also promising, but it had a weak CPU and an even more power-limited GPU. The only laptop that's even come close to this one is actually last year's G14. We've seen the Zephyrus laptops go from decent gaming machines to basically the perfect everyday device in only 6 years. And every year it got better and better, going off of feedback and fixing issues. And that brings us an almost perfected machine. But now comes the most important question: is the 2026 Zephyrus G14 worth it? Well, it is pretty expensive. The 2025 G14 with a 5070 Ti started at $3,000 last year. But over time, that price dropped by quite a bit, and at like $2,500, that was absolutely worth it. But this year's model, which released while RAM prices are still going crazy, now starts at $3,600. And that's just a little too much. You can get it for cheaper in some countries, and with some special discounts, you can actually buy it for a reasonable price. But at this full price of $3,600, I would not really say that it's worth it. Last year's model with a 5070 Ti can be had for more than $1,000 less. And sure, that one has less performance, a less bright display, and shorter battery life, but I would say that is absolutely worth it for sacrificing $1,000 less. I mean, they're both great performing gaming laptops, with barely any power limitations, despite being in a super thin body. So when this thing drops in price, it is gonna be basically the best gaming laptop money can buy. I mean, it handled everything I threw at it, and it looked and felt good while doing it. But for now, I think last year's model is just a way better deal. Unless you have a lot of money, in which case, just buy it. I mean, this one and the 2025 G14 are still the fastest 14-inch laptops that you can buy. I take it with me everywhere I go, so I can edit or game wherever I want with the least amount of weight in my backpack. So to me, it is worth it. And that's about all I have to say. See you all in the next video. Bye bye.